people want to say you can do whatever you want. It's not true. Like, I can't be LeBron James. I can't be an NBA star. I don't have that ability. Maybe if I train my whole life, there's certain things you just can't do. You're not going to be. I'm not saying don't pursue your dreams, but I feel like you're going to be successful in what you're good at.
Titus, dude, you've got like 1 million followers on YouTube. You have all these different followers across social media platforms. I'm really curious, like, what was the piece of content that like really kicked off for you? Like, was there a certain video that just like all of a sudden it just popped off and you got all this traction?
Well, what's funny is I built up every single social media platform individually. There was like really no crossing between like influencers or my followers going from YouTube to TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And I started on TikTok. I didn't do YouTube until like 2021 or 22 because I was like doing so well on TikTok and I was like, I don't want to switch up because this is fine. And then I actually ended up getting banned, but luckily I started YouTube before that. But it kind of gradually grew on TikTok. It was like, well, I said gradually, but I got like 10,000 followers in a week. But I just started posting videos about like what was going on at the time. It was a very high political climate, during 2020 with the Biden and Trump thing. And I was working my door-to-door job and I was just frustrated about what happened at the debate. And I just made a video on it and it didn't even go crazy viral. It just got like a few thousand views. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's people liked what I had to say there. So I just, kept making funny little skit videos, like making just funny, simple things like when I'm at home or on my lunch break or whatever. And it just started growing and growing and growing. And I didn't have, with TikTok specifically, there was only like one video that just went crazy viral that blew me up. There was a lot of little mini viral videos. But with YouTube, there was one video that just popped off. It got like 70 something million views. And I got like
70.
I got 100,000 followers or subscribers off that one video.
Dang! Which video was that? Do you remember the content of it?
Yeah, it was. It was funny. It was me. I was reacting to a Billy Graham like message from like years ago, and he said like, "Don't you black people forget." That's like the beginning of the clip, and I'm obviously being black was just like, what? like what do you mean? Don't you black people forget? And it ended up being the super wholesome message about unity and everything, but like. It was the immediate like shock of value of like me reacting to him saying, "Don't you black people forget," and then people were cracking up in the comments. And they're like, "This is such a good video."
And don't you black people ever forget one thing: the man that helped Jesus carry that cross was a black man. And don't ever forget another thing: Jesus belongs to Africa as much as he does to Europe and Asia. He was born in that part of the world that touches Africa and Asia and Europe, and Jesus was not a white man like me, nor was he as black as some of you. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them. Don't ever say it's a white man's religion or a black man's religion. It's a world religion. He belongs to the world.
And it was crazy. That one popped off, and then it kind of was like a domino effect. That one went viral, so then a lot of videos that I put up before that went viral, and then almost every video I put out after that went viral. I had a streak where I was getting like 90 million views a month on YouTube. It was just like crazy. Yeah.
That's insane. So like, did you always know, like, did you always have a knack for entertainment? Like as a kid, like, where does this like spunky, I've seen some of your videos, obviously. You've got this, like you bring humor in, you bring entertainment, but you also have like a wholesome message. Have you always been that way, or is that like a new development?
Well, it's funny you said it, because for entertainment, I have always loved entertainment. Like I was in theater in high school and stuff, and I love music. I like to play music. That was like what my interest was. I just was doing this randomly and it popped off. And I was like, oh, we're here now. Like I wasn't like, that wasn't the goal. I wasn't like, oh, I want to be a social media influencer, or I want to like, that was not, I mean, I've never been opposed to it, obviously, but that wasn't like what I was trying to do necessarily. It just kind of like, I was like, oh, this is working. This is cool. And then I just, kept doing it. And it's fun to like make people laugh, and it's fun to see people, to change people's minds just through something you said. Like I've had people message me saying, well, I didn't think about it that way. Or even just like to be able to see someone else's perspective and not be so like on your own side. It's cool to see people like open up and like be willing to be like, maybe I was wrong, or maybe they're not crazy just because they believe differently than me or live differently than me. And so it's been an experience, but I love it.
That's super cool. Obviously, you didn't set out then to be full-time in content creation. It's my understanding that recently, maybe relatively recently, you've actually made the jump to, being a full-time content creator.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about like why you've done that, made that decision, and like, is it a scary thing to do, or is like, nah, it's like perfectly in line with everything I've always thought?
I mean, it's definitely like, it's when you are doing full-time content creation, it's kind of, you never know what's going to go viral. You never know what opportunities are going to come. If you don't have like work for like a publication, like if you don't work for like Daily Wire or like Turning Point or like one of these big organizations or like, anything, you don't have that security of knowing that you're going to have, that you're an employee there, you're going to get this paycheck. So you kind of like work with other brands and you get brand deals and all this stuff. And so at any point, these people could just decide not to work with you. So I guess there's like a risk in that. But I mean, it's so much more freedom. Like, obviously you got to be, diligent in doing what needs to be done, but you can wake up when you want. You can make schedules of your own day the way you want. And like no one's really controlling what you do other than you. You just got to make sure you do it the right way so you're not screwing yourself to where you have to go back to work somewhere. But I made the jump. Funny thing, I could have made the jump way earlier than I did, but I'm super like, I need to be secure. I need to have some money saved up. I need to know what I'm like. I don't want to like, just, you don't just to everything go away and you're like screwed. So I made a jump in like, I don't know, October. It was pretty recent. It's new development. And then that's why I was able to move across states, because I was like, I can do this from home. So yeah.
Yeah, we talk about this subject a lot of like taking a leap of faith or like taking immediate action. What we're doing is really looking to inspire the next generation, Gen Z, and taking big action, setting big goals, and just going for it in life. And then also the communication skills, like people skills type stuff. But we find like, gosh, at least in my life, Titus, every time there's like some huge moment, huge jump, there is like a defining moment, not to be too cliche, but there's a moment where you're like nervous, and we can say, oh, it's fear, or we can say it's excitement. We can label that however we want. Yeah. And it's like, am I going to really do this? I mean, maybe walk me through like your internal, if you don't mind, getting a little personal, like what's going on inside, like the good, the bad, the doubt, any self-doubt would creep in when you're trying to make that decision.
About the jump to doing this full time?
Yeah. Like
for sure.
October. What's going on inside of Titus's brain?
Oh, for sure. I think for me, it was probably more excitement than fear, but there's actually a little bit of both. There was like a dual feeling there. Cause I was like, what if everything, everyone says hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Like that's like kind of where I was at. It's like, I'm having all these opportunities to like go on retreats to Florida or DC or Utah. And like, I'm getting invited to all these awesome things. And it's like, oh, well, me staying at this job is preventing me from these connections, these opportunities. And I was like, that's not worth it. And I was like, and technically I don't need to be here. I just am for that security of knowing that I'm, getting a paycheck and I'm, so I was like, but I'm also getting a paycheck outside of this. I was like, you can live off this. You've saved up enough money to like, so I was like, it was probably more excitement when I made the decision, because I was like, I don't need to. And I will be honest though, I even within that choice, I was super, I didn't quit my job right away. I told them, hey, I need time off. I need like a leave of absence. I said, give me I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm really busy right now. I'm getting all these opportunities. And I kept asking them for days off, like a few days before. Oh, they're asking me to fly out here. Can I go? Oh, they're asking me to fly out here. Can I go? Oh, I'm going to actually, I need to, and then I was kind of screwing them over almost, because it's like they needed me. And then I was like gone. And so I was like, can I just, so we're not both like getting frustrated with each other, can I just have like a leave of absence? And they said, yeah. And so I was gone for like a month or two, and they were like, so you coming back? And I was like, I think so. I'm just not sure. It's really busy right now. And then they were super cool about it. We got along really well. We had a good working relationship. And then they asked me again, and I was just like, honestly, it doesn't really make sense. I said, I was kind of planning on it, kind of not. I was like, I didn't really know, but I was like, it doesn't really make sense, because another opportunity presented itself, and I was like, I really don't need to come back now. like within that time of me being gone. And I was like, yeah, no. I said, I'm not coming back. And they're like, oh, okay,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like what we will believe something, whether it's true or not. It's like true to you. Like I have to have this security. I have to, right? And then it's like, it can bleed over. I definitely have had moments like that where it's like, oh my gosh, you're right up to the decision-making time. You know, the decision needs to be made. And it's like, what do I do? Do I do this or do I do that? You know, part of it is just like looking at, I'm an old fashioned, like get a legal pad of paper out and do the whole pros and cons on a piece of paper. Like what are all the pros? What are all the cons? What would be some advice that you would give maybe let's say somebody in their 20s that's making a huge decision right now, whether that's maybe like, maybe somebody just graduated high school. Should I go to college? Should I not? Should I take this career or should I take this career? Should I get married young? Should I not? Like there's all these big decisions. What's like one or two things that have like helped you learn how to make decisions better?
That's a good question. I'm like an insane overthinker. Like I feel like so I like kind of I wish I wrote it down. I'm not like that. I like to do everything in my head. I do everything. I'm like, okay. I just try and what's going to be the most optimal like thing for me? What would work best for me? What do I want to do? What would I enjoy doing? And because like that's for me, I said it sucks that everything that I enjoy doing that I'm good at requires me to be seen, because I'd rather be like eventually, obviously I think we all want to be successful. I'd rather be wealthy and not be known. But I feel like all my skills require me to be seen. Like whether it's music, whether it's like comedy or not comedy, but like content and all this stuff. It's like people have to see my face, people have to see my reaction, people need to see like some one-liner I use or whatever. And because that's my personality. And so I'm like, that's where I'm skilled at. So I think for me, I always tell people say you can do whatever you want. It's not true. Like I can't be LeBron James. I can't be an NBA star. I don't have that ability. Maybe if I trained my whole life, maybe I would have been able to be an athlete like that. But because I'm athletic, but there's certain things you just can't do. You're not going to be. And I think people should really lean into their gifts. And I feel like that, I'm a Christian. It says your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men. Like that's a scripture in Proverbs. And it's like, I think that's true. Like if you like lean into those gifts that God gave you that you have, even if you don't believe in him, like you have gifts, you're talented at something, lean into that. I'm not saying don't pursue your dreams, but I feel like you're going to be successful in what you're good at. So
I think I have a very similar outlook, but it's slightly tweaked. I think that there's certain skills that anybody can learn if they put enough effort in. Yeah. And there's certain things that you do need a God-given ability. Like you brought up, the NBA. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an NBA star. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, Titus. I'm not exactly built like an NBA star.
Not 6'8", 250 pounds.
I'm the wrong a lot of things to be good at that good at basketball. But I had the fundamentals and I was decent, for what I was. And there was a moment where I realized, okay, to your point, you're not going to be in the NBA. But what could you do? What skills do you have? And what can you develop? So I think that anything that requires communication can be learned. Some people are more gifted at it than others. I think anything that like anything in business, if somebody else can do it, you can do it. Somebody might be way more gifted in focus or the ability to think critically and problem solve, or the ability to communicate with others, or the ability to take immediate action, all these things that make a successful business person. But I believe all those things can be learned. Where you just can't, the things that you can't learn are your physical attributes. So anything that requires just straight up physical, like sports, or, I'm not probably going to be a movie star from the looks of me, but we might be able to play a funny part or something like that, So I think it's an interesting concept. So you are in kind of the political, space a little bit, right? Obviously, a lot of your content, hinges on political happenings and whatnot. What's some of the craziest stuff? Like, I'm sure you get some hate. I'm sure you get some, kudos and slaps on the back. Like, what's one of the craziest comments you ever had to read through?
One of the craziest comments. What's funny is, and I don't know if I'm just like delusional and not like allowing myself to view the negative things. I don't really get a lot of negative comments. I think there's one video in particular that I can actually think of. And it's crazy. It was, I didn't even feel like making a video that day, but I was like, let me make something. It was Christmas Eve. And there was this like 30-second video of all these liberals saying something about like, I'm sorry, I just think that yada, 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 some liberal talking point. And so at the end of it, this is right after Trump wins, right? And I go, Merry MAGA Christmas with my MAGA hat on. That's all I said. I didn't do anything else. And I just smiled and winked at him. And everyone in the comment section starts like trolling me. First time I've ever been trolled like that, I feel like, that I've seen. And they were just like, it's weird though, because they would use the insult. They'd use the insulting term, or they'd use me being, or calling me gay as an insult. So they'd be like, oh, like he's not going to let you hit, bro, or like this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, why are you using the people you claim to support as a punchline to attack me? I was like, so you don't think it's okay either? Or like you think it's wrong? Or like, why are you using someone you claim to support as like a punchline? And I don't care. I'm just cracking up the whole time. I think I made a Instagram like story, like laughing about it. I'm like, I can't believe these people are calling me gay in the comment section. Just because I said Merry MAGA Christmas. But that's probably the weirdest thing.
Like number one, like you said, using that as an insult on something that you probably have a different stance than them. And then number two, like it's not helpful. Like how would you tell somebody else then? Like obviously you're pretty good at just from that reaction, you're pretty good at not caring too much what somebody thinks of you, at least in that particular role, you know, in your creator role. A lot of people, Titus, a lot of people do not have that quality. Like it gets to them. Every negative comment, whether it's online or whether it's in person, whether it's a family member that gives them a negative feedback, whatever it is. Why do you think you are that way? Like, is that just a natural thing? You just choose to see the positive, or is it something you've had to like kind of work on and develop?
I think for me, obviously, you say you don't care. I don't care what other people think about me, but also you don't like to see people say negative things about you. Like, I think it's like a weird thing to like define, because obviously when people say terrible things, or if you get like a DM that says go kill yourself, it's like, oh dang, like you want me dead, that's crazy. But like I care about what my family thinks about me. I care about what my friends that I trust and know think about me. It's like, it's allowing yourself to be influenced or moved by someone who doesn't know you, who just saw a clip of something you said and then allow their comment to like ruin your day, is just like not worth it. Like, cause they don't know you. Like, and I genuinely think 90% of the people that have ever put a hate comment on my videos would like me as a person. Like, if we hung out, if we like we're chilling, and that's another thing. Like, I disagree with a lot of people. I disagree with lifestyles. I disagree with behavior. I disagree with so many people. I have no hate towards them. They'll say I do. Like, they'll never like believe anything else. But I don't hate them. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. Just leave kids alone. Stop forcing your beliefs on me. Like that. Like, that's it. I just want to be able to express my opinion freely, as you do, and like we can like have, you know, diverge our ideals, and like obviously we agree to disagree, but you're not allowed to do that these days. You either agree with me or you're the enemy. You agree with me or you're evil, and it's like, whoa, no. Like, so.
Yeah, and social media is not helping that. I know both of us, you know, really enjoy social media and you know have our business models tied to it, but I think as a whole, social media does act a little bit in and contributing towards this idea of polarizing. You know, things that are polarizing, they pop off on the algorithm. People like to watch that, and people like to take hard stances and be like, oh man, you're either the best thing ever or you're the devil. You know, like there's no in between as a creator. So I think it's interesting you made that point. In real life, if they sat down with Titus around a dinner table and we're just having a meal and chatting and hanging out, like you said, most people would just be fine. Like,
it would be fine.
You know, even with completely differing viewpoints. But then we put everybody online and everyone thinks that they can say whatever they want.
Right. Well, exactly. People are so strong and tough behind a keyboard, but they would never treat you that way or act that way in person. And if they do, they're like the ones that are actually unhinged and crazy that should be in a psych ward. But like, I have friends that like, literally believe so differently than me. One of the friends who like wanted me to move here to Nashville is like, we disagree on a lot of things. He's on the conservative side, but we like oppose each other on a lot of things. I love the guy. And that's another thing. A lot of people on the conservative side disagree with each other. There's people, gays in the community that like I'm cool with. We follow each other, or like we're nice to each other. I'm like, I just am tied to my beliefs. I'm not going to budge on them. Like I don't hate you. And I think this whole thing of like love and acceptance that the alphabet community was like trying to push on us, like love and acceptance do not need to be combined. Like you can love someone and not accept their lifestyle or accept their choices. You can accept them as a human, but like people have to do that, like subscribe to every facet of a person, which is not even true. Because like, if you're a parent and your kid is a serial killer, you love them. You're not accepting of their life choices, or if they're like a criminal or whatever, you're not accepting of their life choices or their behavior. You don't accept everything. But you love them. And that they try to tie those words together. And I was just like, no. I was like, that doesn't make sense. No. So.
Yeah, people don't believe this, but you can hate the actions somebody does and still love the person that performs those actions.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, there's two very different things here. Why are we combining love and acceptance in this as the same thing?
Yeah.
And obviously, you and I probably both believe there's an agenda behind that. Which,
yes.
Not trying to make this a very super political or conspiracy theory, podcast today, but it is interesting that most people believe nowadays that you can't love somebody and disagree with them at the same time.
Yeah, and it's funny because they also preach tolerance, and I'm like, tolerance would literally be accepting the fact that people believe differently than you. I'm tolerating something that I oppose. I'm tolerating someone I disagree with. But they preach tolerance as if you have to accept. It literally makes no sense. It's twisted. And we were talking this earlier. This is on both sides of the political content aisle. I used to think it was more left, and maybe just because the pendulum has swung so much to the right, there's some crazies on the right coming out, but I've seen some crazy things from people on the right, and I'm like, y'all are just as bad as the people we were making videos on. So I think, and like you said, it's all about polarizing people. It's all about putting out content that's going to be like super, whoa, I can't believe they said that, or I can't, and some people are just doing it for virality purposes. I never sought out to do that. If I ever have, I will say right now, I regret it, but I don't even believe I've done that. I may have been misled in thinking that some video was something different than what it was, because maybe it was, I don't know. But I've never intentionally made a video just for the purpose of going viral to someone else's detriment. I never want to make someone look bad intentionally, unless that what they did was bad. And, so I hate that a lot of people don't care. They're like, oh, this will go viral, so I'm going to do it. It really frustrates.
So that's a really interesting thing. So for the creator community, people that are creating videos, creating content, etc., I was actually curious about this prior to the episode, Titus, watching your stuff. So what is your take on this? A lot of people will say, as a content creator, you're in a business like anybody else. You need to make sure that you're understanding the trends, what people want to watch, and make content that is very much designed to go viral to your ideal audience. And you need to have some, information about it, and you need to understand it. But more than anything, you're designing content to go viral. And then there's this other camp, I feel like, that's over here on the other side that's saying, look, you're just your content is an expression of yourself as a creator, and you should be creating content for you, regardless of what your audience or what you think people want to watch, and put it out to the world. Would you say you're in one of those two camps or somewhere in between?
I'm probably in the second one, more so. I mean, here's the thing. I understand wanting to go viral. I understand learning tips and tricks on how to go viral. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think authenticity is the most important thing when it comes to making content. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they can see through BS. They can see you're not real. You're just you're just saying this thing that you think is going to make you go be the next Andrew Tate or something. It's authenticity is what matters most. And I think people draw onto that. And some people just aren't going to be good at content. If you're not personable, if you're not someone that can communicate, you're not going to do well unless you do skits or something and you're funny. There's a niche for almost everyone nowadays. So you probably could do a silent weirdo and do, I don't know, but I think authenticity is the most important aspect of content. And I think being real will pay off in the long run over just trying to go viral and just copy someone else's content. It could work temporarily. It could work forever, but I just wouldn't want to be fake my whole career. So I just would never want to do it.
I think a lot of people, do have that desire, of course, to go viral at any expense. You obviously are saying, okay, there's a way to do things and there's a way to not to do things if you want to be successful in this business, but being authentic in what you're saying is the most important part. Do I kind of have that right?
Yeah.
So what are some things that you've noticed in your own content? What are some tweaks that you've made that, gosh, when I made this, I started to have an uptick? Or is there moments like that? Hey, little tiny tips and tricks of the trade.
Yeah, I've tried to not general, because I hate generalizations, and I've done it though. So I've been hypocritical in that aspect, and we're all hypocrites in a way. We try to act like we're not, but we are. We'll call people out for doing the exact same thing that we do. But I don't like generalizing people. I don't want people to generalize us. It's no, I'm not going to say all liberals. I'll say I hate when I always say, I hate when liberals do this. And it sounds stupid to do every video, but I've almost been doing it now where I'm like, not everyone though. Like, because not everyone's like that. It's not everyone. It's just want liberals like this, or you conservatives like this, that do this, that behave this way. Like, I don't like when they do this. And I don't want to generalize a whole group of people, half the country, one way or the other, because we're all individuals with completely different backgrounds, completely different viewpoints in those camps, in those separate camps. Someone might be a liberal and a conservative, and they align more than people in their own camp. Like, you never know. And so it's like, I don't like the generalizations, because that's kind of how we vilified each side to the other. Like, they're just like, oh, they're this. Oh, you're liberal, you are XYZ. You're conservative, you're XYZ, and that's it. And we hate the opposing side. And it's just not helpful. It's why we're divided even more. And I hate it, because it shouldn't matter to that degree.
We should be able to debate independent topics and not have to take party lines and say, hey, because I agree with 80% of what this particular party says, that now I'm labeled as that. And 100% of what that party stands for, what they say is all, now my beliefs.
Yeah, you should be a critical thinker. Think for yourself. What do you actually believe? What do you actually think? Do you align? We don't need to get into politics like crazy, but I'm just like, there's some stuff on the liberal side when it comes to the compassion for people, where I'm like, yeah, especially as a Christian, we should be a little more compassionate towards that. Like, even I'm all about following the law, yes, but let's try and find ways to maybe change things in our legal structure. Let's show that we care and try and do something to, like, I don't know. It's just, we're just so all about the gotcha. We're all about, no, this, no, that. And it's like, it's not productive. It's not going to get us anywhere. And I think that's kind of the point. They don't want productive. I want to win, and I want our side to win through yelling and screaming and fighting. And like, I don't think there's a result that they're searching for, but maybe I'm just a pessimistic person.
Unfortunately, there's too much money in the idea that things can be talked about, things can be funded, things can be started to put into motion, and then nothing gets solved, because then the funding comes back next year. But I digress on that for a minute. You talk about being a Christian a few times, and I just want to, I also am a Christian. I wanted to kind of get a feel for how is that, really played into your content or your, the beliefs that you have. How has that played into your career so far?
I mean, pretty much, it's like the backbone of everything that I like believe. I don't think. I mean, if I wasn't a Christian, if I didn't believe in God and in the Bible, I'm not a perfect Christian by any means, but I wouldn't care on a lot of things. Like, I probably wouldn't have a position on. I won't think I would. My worldview is to believe the way that what the Bible says. So it's like a lot of things that are contentious within political climate, I'd probably be like indifferent towards, because I'm like, oh, well, there's no reason to care or for that to matter, but because there is, I mean, I might be like, that's unnatural. I don't understand why people, but I wouldn't, that's probably the extent of where I would be. But because I know, like, of sin, I know of evil, I know of corruption, I know the enemy, it's like that shapes like how everything for why I believe that way that I do.
Yeah, it's most people, when you look at somebody's life and they just do the same exact thing from the time they were 18 to the time they die, right? And it's exactly the same routine, exactly the same everything. Don't have a lot of life behind it, and it's just like so monotone. I feel like you're not really living for a purpose at that point. You're just living just because you are alive. Like, what was that? What's that quote that says, we bury men at 72 oftentimes, but they really died when they were 27.
I've heard that.
And I think that's very true for a lot of people. And part of my mission is like, how do we ignite this? Like, how do we like get people fired up to go pursue a passion and look at the next 5 or 10 years of your life and just say, why don't I go after something big just because I want to see what one individual can do in a lifetime. And I don't know if you resonate with that, but that's my take. I'm a little bit of an intense individual. But I'm kind of curious, like, what is the next, like, on that point, like, what's the next 5, 10, 15 years for Titus look like? Like, if you were going to project out, what are you kind of aiming for?
5, 10, 15 years. I will say part of the reason why I moved to Nashville was to pursue music. It's been my passion my whole life. That's what I wanted to do. Like playing music, like you're a musician. Like, what instruments do you play? I sing and I play the guitar a little bit. I think it's an insult to guitarists to play, but I play the guitar, but I do play a little bit. And that's my growing from like middle school or younger than that. I wanted to do music. I was in theater. I did talent shows. I did choir. I did everything. I threw a concert with my friend in like 2019. We went outside of church and we like did like 6 originals, 6 covers of all kinds of songs. And it was one of the best times of my life. I love performing. I was a worship leader for a long time. And so that's like what I always wanted to do. This political commentary, social, cultural commentary fell in my lap. Not fell in my lap, I worked at it. But like, it just kind of like started making videos and then went viral. I was like, oh, shoot. I'm doing this now. and it's been great. And it's allowed me to have the freedom to be able to move to a place like Nashville and pursue what I truly love, which is that, and so I would want to do that. Also being in this for the last 4.5, 5 years, I've enjoyed it so much that I want to like do like long form content. I'm a short form king. I've always made a lot of shorts that went viral and all that stuff. These little 60-second, could be 30 seconds, could be 15 seconds, could be a minute 30, whatever. But you don't really get to really dig in deep into whatever it is you're saying in that short of a time period. And so I want to like have a podcast where I can really just talk through a lot of things with people. Cause a lot of me and my friends that are here that are influencers we're kind of drained from this political stuff and just this intense fighting over and over again of who's right, who's wrong, and you're evil, you're bad. And like, we just want to like say this is all stupid. Like, we want to make a podcast and just be like, we're over this. Let's like stop acting like everyone's the enemy. We're not all the enemy. So something like that, podcast for sure, to talk out these ideas. But music is something I definitely want to pursue. And if I can have any form of success in that would be the goal and the passion.
I love that. Well, you said something just a second ago I want to touch on. Like, my belief on this is 80% focus on the positivity and building a life that matters, and focusing on, if you're a faith-based person, which you and I both are, focusing on that and just becoming the best version of you can be. And then, the global, geopolitical sphere, it's important to understand. It's important. It runs a lot of things about society. Mm-hmm. But giving 20%, for the average person, giving 20% of your focus and attention to that is probably on the plenty side. Instead of, 80% focus on all the fighting, focus on all the political things. Of course, it's important, don't get me wrong, but not at the 80% level. I say 20% or less. And I'm excited to see what you do with this podcast. And that's something that I've had to adopt for myself recently, Titus, is like, dude, I was creeping into where it was like, even for me, like 50-50, political versus everything else. And that's just not my calling in life. I feel like my calling is to, how do I become the best version of me and help other people become the best version, of themselves. So maybe that perspective could help you going into your next podcast adventure.
Yes, that'd be cool. I definitely... I need to have a long drawn out conversation. I feel like I'll say something and then I'm in a short video and I'm like, man, someone takes comments in the comment section thinking I meant something that I didn't mean, but I can see why they thought I meant that based off what I said. And I'm like, nah, that's not what I was trying to say. Even if I agreed with it, I'm like, that's not what I was saying here. And so then, or someone like that says something that they took it completely different. Let's see how they got there. But that's not what I meant at all. And then I'm not a person that gets in the comment section and starts wars. Like, I'm not going to sit there and go back and tit for tat with you. That's not me. I don't care. I was like, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you on the phone or on the comment section. But like, if you wanted to take a call or something, I wouldn't want to take a call either. But if we had a podcast, then I would say, hey, call in, let's talk. So I want to do something, and I would definitely do that. I don't know how exactly I would format it, but I know I want to have long form conversations about not even just politics. I'm so over politics, even these cultural things. And that's what I talk about more than even politics. You're not going to hear me talking about foreign policy. You're going to hear me talking about, let's not chop off 5-year-olds' appendages. Like that's what let's not act like I can't make it in this country because of that. That's an insult, to me, that I can't make it. So that's kind of more my vein anyway. And so like talking about cultural issues and stuff with like the guys, or that would be a good time.
Well, I think in this world right now that we live in, it's just the attention is lacking. It's like just we go to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, and there's millions of messages, advertisements, content. People are seeing with their own eyeballs every single day. It's such a distraction, right? Yeah. And we don't get very deep unless we're being intentional. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're saying is like, hey, I want to make some stuff that for those that are seeking something deeper, they can come join this, they can come watch this, and we're going to have an actual deep conversation. But you're a genius in the form of, hey, short form content, is what grabs people's attention, and then they can drive to the longer form conversation. I'm excited to see what you do with that, and on the music side of things. That'll be an interesting adventure for you. A lot of people don't have the freedom to do that, and they'll set out and they'll have to monetize their hobby from the start. And it looks to me like you're this wild adventure that you didn't even know was coming with this short form political stuff. Even though it sounds like you may be a little bit over it in certain ways, it has provided this opportunity to pursue your passion without having to monetize music.
Yeah, I'm over the divisive nature of what I do, but I'm not over, like, I want to like still engage with my audience, and I still want to make like videos. I just want to figure out a way to do it in a way that I'm okay with and I don't think is super divisive. I think that's what I like. It's not that I'm over making videos, it's just I want to do it differently, and I don't want there to be any cause for confusion. There's going to be people that are going to just not get what you're saying because they don't want to, but I just want to be better. Would be better with more intentional with what I do in the short form. And I'm blessed to be able to just move to whatever state I want to and pursue something that I've always wanted to do. It's all God, man.
I love that. Well, Titus, I'm gonna go and roll into a few like rapid fire questions if you don't mind.
All right.
One of the questions I have for you is, what are some daily habits that have helped you to stay a little bit more focused and disciplined?
Daily habits. I'm so unconventional, I feel like. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, actually, if I want to be productive, I like listing all the things I need to do. Like, I just put a list of all the things I know I need to do in a day and then just knock it out one by one. I feel like that's the simplest way to just do what I need to do. Wake up, make my bed, drink a cup of coffee and just start. That sounds so generic. I don't even like coffee, but I drink it still. I think that's the most way for me to be productive. Like, just list out everything that needs to be done, make sure I do it. Because every time I do it that way, I always have so much more time than if I don't. If I'm like, I have to do this. What's next? I got to do that. It's harder. And then I'm like dragging on and on about it. And if I give myself time limits too, it makes it easier, or it makes me more like, all right, let's do this.
I love that. One of my favorite books is The One Thing. Have you read that book before?
No, I haven't.
It's called The One Thing. I think it's like Jay Papasan and the Art Bigger Institute or something like that. Anyway, the idea is like, hey, the premise is, if there was one thing that I did today or this year or whatever, just pick a metric, but let's say today, if there was one thing that I did and got done today, what would that one thing be? And it makes everything else either easier or insignificant. So like, let's say I have 17 things I want to do today. Well, odds are if I focus on 17 things, I'm going to get 20% the way done on item number 1, and then I'm going to switch gears, get distracted, work on item number 15 for a little bit, and then bounce back and forth. And then at the end of the day, we're like, well, damn, I literally got nothing done, even though I was busy all day. Yeah. I don't know if you can resonate with that, but the days where I look at my list and I'm like, all right, Josh, if I only could do one of these to completion and get it completed, what would that one thing be? And when I circle that and I put it at the top of a big white piece of paper in the morning, those days are so productive because hey, you actually did it and it's complete. And then I can focus on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing down the list. So I'm with you on making a list. I think it's interesting. So many people do not make to-do lists. I'm a big fan of that. So thanks for sharing. If you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice when you first started creating content, what advice would you give yourself?
I would have been a lot more intentional on finding ways to monetize it. I was kind of just like, people will come to me. Like, that was my, cause I could have done a lot. I'm grateful for where I am, but I could have been a lot further ahead if I would have had knowledge on and it's not fully my fault, but it is. You could have searched into it, but I didn't know how do you get branding? How do I meet people that want to get money, networking and with all these people and all this stuff? But most of the opportunities I've gotten is just from meeting people, shaking hands, and going to a lot of events where what? No way, you do that? You have that many followers? Take my card. Oh, hey, I want you to. I didn't do that stuff. I was making videos for 2 years, and people were going to all these Turning Point events or these RNC, whatever it was, and they're all making money because people want to pay influencers to do yada, yada, yada. And I think if I would have known that, I'd be a lot further along.
like the networking aspect and how to monetize. It's so funny that earlier you said some of the effect of like you want to be wealthy and not really seen and known all the time. And it's interesting. I'm cracking up because I'm at the beginning of our media adventure, but it's not the beginning of the money adventure. So like I'm kind of the opposite. Like I've got the money, but I don't have the influence and the ability, the reach that I would like. And we're going to start building that. So we're on the opposite side of this. It just cracks me up. Like everybody's got a goal. Everybody has something that somebody else wants.
Yes.
And,
that's funny.
but yeah, I think that's interesting. So like that brings up a point about networking, like going to events, shaking hands, meeting people. How important do you think that is? Obviously you said you wish you did more of it. How important do you think it is to do that, especially like early on in your career for some of these younger folks?
It's very important. And I think it's funny because the older I get, the less I like to do that. But like, because I've always been the guy who everybody like knew, like in my town. Like I was like, oh, it's Titus. Titus. People always be like, Titus, you know everybody. Doesn't matter where we go, you run into someone you know. And I remember when I went to a really big high school too. So a lot of the people, their parents, their siblings, they all know, and I have a big family too. So then I know there's friends and all that. And I remember one time I went to Nashville actually for auditioning for American Idol, like in 2015 or something. And I ran into one of my good friends there, and someone else, the group I was with was like, are you serious? You know somebody in Nashville? And I was like, no, he's from Michigan. I swear, he's just here for the auditions. But no, and networking is so important because, you never know. They always say the more hands you take, the more money you make, right? And it's like when you get to know people, and if you're likable and you have good ideas and you're, you have a passion, a lot of people want to invest in that. So like when you actually have the skills and ability to like be more, and they can see a return on that investment that, or they just really like you. And that's been a thing for me. It's like some people just like me and they'll be like, hey, I want to help you. I want to do this with you. And it's been a blessing. It's not me, right? But it's sometimes you make friends with somebody. Like I'm friends with, I don't know if you know who Xavier DeRusso is. He is like a face for PragerU. We were friends before he like blew up like that. Like he had a following, but like we were like friends and we were cool. And I had him on my YouTube channel and I was like, dude, you're dope. And we became really good friends and he blew up. And because of him blowing up, has created more opportunities for me in a way too. Because it's just like people, so you never know what's going to happen. You never know who you know and how they're going to be able to help you and vice versa. So I think being nice to everybody.
Like developing a likable personality is going to make you more money than almost anything else. And a lot of people don't want to say it like that, but it's the actual truth. And I found it interesting. There was a study done on some high schoolers, and they were looking at, of all the high schoolers, the ones that are the most popular, that have the most amount of friends. That's how they defined popularity, is that have the most amount of friends, people that liked them. And they did a whole survey across all these different high schools. And they found out, which is interesting, it wasn't the qualities like who's the most charismatic or who talked the loudest or who was out, at the most events. It wasn't any of those things. The number one trait that they had of the most popular kids in the high schools was those that liked the most amount of other people. And I thought that was so fascinating. So they said, the most likable person was the person who liked the most other people in their high school, in their circles. And they're like, you ask this kid like, oh, do you like that person? Oh yeah, I like Bob. I like Bobby. Oh, do you like this person? Oh yeah, she's cool. I like Sarah. Yeah. And it's like this idea of like, if you like other people, you're going to be projecting that out to the world. And it's a big sign on your forehead that said, I'm a fun person to be around. Yeah. I like you. And so you like me. And I think that's a very interesting study.
That makes sense. People like to be liked, so it makes sense. If you're liking everybody, then they're going to be like, oh man, I like him. This guy's so cool. Oh, you like him? I like him too. Like that. That makes sense.
My oldest son, he's 7, and we take him, he's homeschooled, but we take him one day a week to this outdoor school. And it's like 35 minutes away. So it's a decent little, for someone like me, it's a decent little drive. Yeah. So we're in the car this morning on the way to his school. And I was like, hey, I'm going to give you a challenge today. He's like, okay, what's the challenge? And we do our morning affirmations together on the way to school and all this stuff. And it's a really special time for me. And I told him, I said, Jameson, today at school, what's one thing that you want to do? I want to challenge you. And he goes, I think I want to make another friend. I was like, okay, cool. How are you going to make friends? And we had this whole conversation about like ask him questions. So today I'm going to get a report tonight. He's going to ask at least 3 people what their favorite movie is, and, you know, tell them that, oh man, that's really cool. I love that movie too. Or we went through this whole dialogue. And then he turns back to me and says, Dad, I'm going to give you a challenge. And I said, oh, what's that? He said, I think you should do 2 podcasts in one day, and one of them has to be with a Navy SEAL. So, Titus, you're one of the podcasts today. Now I got to just go find a
Navy SEAL. I'm sure they're easy to come by.
But just like that, you know, being, you know, teaching the younger generation how to be likable. People think that's just like a character trait you're born with. Yeah. I disagree with that. Well, what's your thoughts?
Being likable. I mean, even with that study, it's like most of the people that are liked by everyone, that like everyone, are usually just sweet people that are like so kind to everybody. So I think some people are naturally inclined just to be super kind to everyone, or they were just raised that way, maybe. I mean, I think it's nature versus nurture, I guess, question. Because I'm not in everybody's household. So I don't know if like you just have always been nice, or if you were just raised to be nice. So I guess, I don't know. I guess I don't have a clear answer on that. But some people like that I've experienced in my life are just sweet people. And because they're so sweet and kind, everyone likes them because they're kind to them, which I guess goes hand in hand with that study. You know, they're like, oh, you're so sweet. Oh, yeah, she did this for me. And he always opened the door. He was always such a gentleman. Like whatever it was. He's just so nice, you know? I mean, and so that I guess it's my answer. It's not very clear, but.
No. I like it. I have 2 more questions for you, Titus. What's something that, okay, based on like your content, based on like you're a very public figure at this point, what would be something that people assume about you that is not true?
Well, I'm sure everyone assumes that I am. It's so basic. Like I'm trying to think. I'm so bad on the cuff questions, but I would say that most people think that I'm like obsessed with Trump. And I'm not. Like, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I don't trust any politician as far as I can throw him. I just go based off what you say. Like, you say you want to do this, I agree with that, so I'll vote for you. Like, it's not like, and he seems like a funny guy. Like, I like his humor. I know a lot of people hate him. I think he's hilarious. I don't agree with him on everything he says. I agree with a lot of his stances on certain things, but I think he was ultimately the best choice. But people think that like I'm just like an apologist for him or something. No matter what, whatever he does, he's good. I'm going to defend everything he does, and that's not true. Like I disagree with him on things, and like certain things like the JFK files are supposed to be released today. No, they're not. Like I don't think they're getting released. Like, so I don't trust it. I don't, like, you guys said you're going to do something. You haven't done that. Obviously, he's newly in office. It's only the 3rd month, but I don't like, I'm not obsessed with Trump. I think he's funny. And obviously a lot of my videos would probably allude to the fact that I'm a huge fan because I'm either defending him a lot or I'm promoting some things he's done. I've said like he's like the greatest president. And so I understand you think I'm obsessed with Trump, or I really, really like him. And I do like him. But I don't know him and I don't trust him, and I'm not like a super fan.
Yeah, this kind of it brings me to one of my thoughts about mentorships. And there's a point to this story. I had a mentor one time that was very, very good at one certain thing, right? And I was young and I was enamored by that skill. I wanted to have that skill, and so I'm learning it from him. And it kind of bled into all the other things that I wasn't seeking advice on directly. Let's just call it like relationships and maybe even some politics and maybe even some, whatever else. I started to notice that I was adopting a bunch of this person's other character traits other than just the one that I was here to learn, which is like public speaking and things like that. And what's interesting is now it was a good lesson for me. And I now believe that when you're choosing like a mentor or a leader in this instance, when you're choosing or voting for somebody, you don't have to like and want to be like them in every single category. Mm-hmm. Just go and say, hey, this is what I want out of this mentor. This is what I want to learn. I'm going to take that and I'm going to leave the rest. I'm not going to take marriage advice from somebody that maybe, has been married and divorced 4 times. That's probably not the person I'm going to go to for marriage advice, even though they might be a great person or maybe really good at making money or whatever. I'm going to go to my grandparents who've been married for 60 years to the same individual. Yeah. You're like, how do you make that work? Right? But also don't go to people that are broke. Don't go to somebody that's broke and ask, just because they're good at they're good at forming relationships. How do you make a bunch of money? So I think that's kind of a similar take that you have on the political thing. Last question is, Titus, where can people find you? Obviously, you have this music journey that's going to come out soon if it's not already way underway. Where do we find you in the areas that you want to promote the most?
Okay. Every single political, cultural commentary channel that I have is Titus Ellis Smith, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's Titus Ellis Smith, all like one word, but it's just my government name. I don't know why I did that. And then my music page is just Titus Smith Music on all the platforms. I don't have YouTube yet, but I'm going to get one.
Awesome. Do you have any songs like released already? Forgive me for not knowing your
have original. So I actually am performing for the first time Thursday in Nashville. My first, I call it writer's round. Two of my friends were going to be up there singing on original songs, and I have not released anything. I'm going to release soon, but the songs I'm singing on Thursday. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Hey, well, good luck on that. I'm super excited for that journey. I personally am going to be tuning in and watching anything on the music side for sure. Very fascinated, and maybe we can have you out to an event sometime to do some music.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, let me know.
Awesome, Titus. Well, thanks for being here. That's a wrap for today. And make sure you go check out Titus on all his channels and follow along on the music journey as well.
Thank you.